Today we're honored to welcome Youness El Fehdi to the show today. I'm very happy to have him on. We have some amazing topics we're going to talk about today, especially in the field of resilience. Right? Resilience is such an important topic we all need in our lives. The ability to bounce back, the ability to just overcome challenges and become the person we're meant to be in a sense. Because we all have two options. We can either be a victim or a victor of the circumstances, right? And how we proceed with that is going to determine the trajectory and the quality of our lives in a sense. And he's written 4 books, and they're all related to this. And it's basically how to move skillfully throughout challenges, right? Develop the grit and determination that's necessary to overcome and become, in a sense, right? So very happy to have him on, share his story with us, and all these insights on this topic. So how you doing today, man?
Good, good. How about you, Anthony?
Doing great. Yeah, happy to have you. And very curious to hear your story, how you got into resilience and being an author and being of service today.
The story started when I first wrote my first book. It's about languages, how the importance of learning languages, because I came to the United States about 24 years ago, and before that, I was always thinking how to discover that outside world, but I did not have the tools, which is a language, because the language is the tool that open doors for you to discover other cultures and to connect with people. So that's how the idea of writing the first book came to life. And I did not write that book. The idea came like 10 years before I wrote the book. So that first book was in 2019, and it was about how important to actually learn the language, not just using apps or translating tools, because language add the human connection dimension to the experience, because you can get directions to an address in other languages, but you can't connect to people. The human touch is very important in learning a language. That's why it's very important for us to actually learn the language instead of just depending on apps or AI. So I wrote that first book back in 2019, and it was about my experience of how language benefited me in how to integrate in integration and assimilation to a new society, a new culture, and how it has enabled me to discover the culture in a deeper way. My second book was about overcoming the challenges of autism, especially for parents. Back in 2015, I had a son. His name is Adam. And 2 years later, he was diagnosed with autism. And that experience, when we heard that diagnosis, so we don't have anybody, we don't know anyone in our life that has autism. So it was very difficult to navigate those challenges. So it took me like some real life experiences to learn how to deal with it. And I put all that in a book and put it to the world for a new parent that got their son or their daughter diagnosed, and how to navigate it in terms of dealing with school, dealing with the public, dealing with everything about the autism life. My third book, it was about the title of that book is Dominate the Weight Loss, Gain, and Diabetes. So back in 2021, I had COVID. So when I went to the doctor, I became overweight, and so when I went to the doctor, I found out I had type 2 diabetes. Type 2 diabetes, and high blood pressure, all cholesterol. So I went over there, and the doctor prescribed pills, like 6 different kind of pills. So I got that for about 6 months, went back. The problems are still there, diabetes still there, cholesterol still there. And I came back home and I was like, I can't live like that. So I threw all those pills in the trash, and I started doing intermittent fasting. So I started with 16 fast time and 8. So I was during those 8 hours I took like 2 meals, and I did that for about 3 months, and then I started doing OMAD, only 1 meal, 1 meal a day. That's what it stands for. And when I went to the doctor after that, uh, my diabetes was gone, my high blood pressure was gone, my high cholesterol was gone. So the doctor was like, okay, probably just because you lost weight, your sugar is down, come back in about 6 months. So I came back in about 6 months, the same thing, no diabetes, no cholesterol. So finally the doctor took that type 2 diabetes out of my medical record. And it's been since 2021, I've been going to the doctor every 6 months, no more type 2 diabetes. So I thought it was very important for me to share that story and make people believe that type 2 diabetes is reversible, because I did it and I want to show people exactly how I did it. Right now, my last book was Content That Captivates. Here lately, I started a YouTube show on my YouTube channel. It's called The YE Show. And I started doing some podcasts. And this is my new journey right now. And that's what brought me to you, Anthony.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, sounds like you developed resilience in real life scenarios. Like you forward your character through all these challenges, right? And you chose this growth mindset, right? Let's be clear to people, it's not easy to do that, right? So I'm curious, what was it within you that made you choose the growth in these circumstances? A lot of people, they don't choose that, unfortunately.
You don't choose how to deal with circumstances, right?
Yeah, they choose like almost. I don't know about you, but I see like a lot of victim type of mentality.
Oh yeah,
Unfortunately,
yeah. Because uh, the problem, the issue most of us have is like it's not the challenges themselves; it's the response to the challenges is the problem. Do do we respond in a positive way or a negative? Do we build on challenges and turn them into something more powerful? Do we turn them into strength? Do we turn them into more experience, or we look at them like or do we look at them like some defeating, like uh, a defeating mechanism that push us down? Like when you look at a challenge and you get defeated before you even face it. So because you can't win a battle if you don't believe that you're gonna win it in the first place. So I think that belief that you can overcome challenges is the first thing that comes. You believe on it, and the second step is you dare to take action to face that challenge and learn lessons from it.
yeah. So it sounds like a lot of people they quit before they even start, right? They don't even believe that it's possible. But you have to believe in possibility, and then you start to take the necessary actions from there.
Yeah, yeah. Like Michael Jordan said, he said, you lose your something like your 100%. You will fail 100% if you don't take the shot.
Right. Yeah.
I
Makes
don't know
sense.
how
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I forgot how he worded it, but that's the meaning.
Yeah. I mean, you can't necessarily succeed if you don't even try, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's like the power of questions is so important as well because a lot of us were asking these empowering questions on a regular basis, right? Like, why me? Why is this happening? All these things. And we eventually have to shift out of that to something that's more empowering, right? Is you start to shift it to like, how can I learn from this? How can I embrace this? How can I get to the other side of it? And you start to be curious, like, what would it look like? You start to take action from there.
Yes. And also, there's an important point. Like we always wait for motivation to do anything to get motivated, but the the trick here that motivation does not come first. It would come, but it's like a spark, and then it goes away, and then we end up not doing anything. So I believe that taking action first, just do it first, and then motivation would catch up with you throughout the process. But if you wait for motivation to come, it will never come. And if it does, it's going to be very temporary, like a spark, and it's going to go away and it will never start. So that's the thing. You just jump into things and just start doing it. Most of us will be worried about failure. And we'll be thinking, oh, if I fail, and then that's what's immobilize people, and they just don't take that first step. So my thing is just dare to take that step. If you fail, that's good. You learn the lesson. If you succeed, you succeed.
Absolutely, yeah. That's a good point, because a lot of us, we just keep on waiting to get started until like the perfect time. The reality is it doesn't even exist. All we have is right now. We have to take it, even sometimes before even ready. Right? You have to be willing to take the next step. It doesn't mean you have all the answers, but now you're in process, you're in motion, and you just learn as you go, as opposed to just this constant procrastination thing.
Yes.
So, in terms of resilience, how would you define that in particular, right? Because it's just people are learning, like, how do we develop this and all these things? Like, I feel like it's important to understand what that even is. So, how would you define that personally?
I define resilience. To define resilience, I would start with 3 terms. Being fragile, which is almost the opposite of resilience, but it's not really the opposite, because the opposite of resilience is anti-fragile. But let's start with fragile. Let's say a glass, you got a glass, you drop a glass on the floor, and it breaks. So that's a fragile thing. And then you got resilience. It's like no matter how you punch, or no matter how you drop that glass, like if that glass is made of, let's say, hard plastic, that's resilience, because you drop it, it don't break. Anti-fragile is, like I said before, about the Hydra creature in the Greek culture. Like you got one leg, it grows 2 legs. So for me, being resilient is good, and it's good because you can withstand all the challenges in life, and you can withstand it. But to go one step over resilience is to be anti-fragile. Is you not only withstand and don't break, you actually get stronger.
Yeah, very interesting, right? Because how I would look at it is like resilience is like the ability to bounce back from things, like if things happen, right? But also, we want to have that strength to not have the need as well, right? So it's like both and having that, it's something that we forge through all these challenges, right? It's a process. It doesn't just happen, and you have to understand that, because challenges are going to happen, as you mentioned. But how do we actually stay the course within that, and actually stay on target, stay on our goals, and gain a virtue in the process as opposed to the opposite?
Yes. It's a process. Resilience is a process. It's a mindset. Just like you do it one day and you get over with. It becomes part of who you are, and you look at everything in life, and the resilience always in the back of your head. That's how you approach anything that's come to your life, and we need a reminder. Like every day when you wake up in the morning, you gotta remind yourself that no matter what challenge I face today, I'm just gonna believe I can overcome that challenge and then take action. And whatever the consequence is, like I said, if I fail, I learn the lesson. If I win, that's good too.
Yeah. How do we start to believe, right? How do we believe in ourselves and actually have a strong knowing that we can accomplish that thing, right? Because I feel like it's the foundation, right? Then we actually take the necessary actions. So what would you say that are the important things to adopt that belief in our day-to-day lives?
The belief thing is it comes from our inner side, from our inner mindset. So to build that is first thing, never fear failure. Never fear failure. And when you start living that fearless type of life, like you just do it and never worry about what other will think about you if you fail, what you be immune to that lack of belief, because when people stop believing because they fear something, because the most immobilizing aspect in our life is fear. Most of it's probably 99.9% of failures, they're a result of fear. So to overcome that fear is just to not care about what other people would think about you, and took the loss as a lesson instead of like as something shameful, something that is gonna bug you down the rest of your life, because everything in this life is temporary, including our problems. If we believe, because when we think about problems, when we have a problem, we think it's gonna stay forever. That's why we stay worried the whole time, and we start thinking about it. We will be haunted by problems. But problems, like everything else, like they're temporary. If you believe in that, you just keep going. That's how you develop resilience in your life.
Yeah. That's a great perspective, right? Because failure is something we all experience, and we have to fail our way to success in many ways. But I think it's important to embrace failure, right? How do we actually do that, right? It's like, I feel like it's feedback in so many ways. Like, it's something that we can learn from. And a lot of times it's like, don't change the goal, change the approach, right? So we have to start to learn how to deal with that. Like, what are your thoughts on that? How do we start to embrace failure in a sense?
You're talking about the goals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just like failure in general. Like, how can we start to reframe that when we experience it?
yeah. When how we embrace failure is to be a man or a woman of systems, not goals. So the problem with not embracing failure, because we put goals in our life, and when we don't reach those goals, we assume it's a failure. But if we thought about systems, not goals, and just focus on our actions to get that goal instead of the goal, we will hit the goal anyway. And even if we don't look at it, we don't define it as failure. We just define it as part of the process, and we keep going. So embracing failure, yeah, is good, but the problem with that is we should not consider something a failure in the first place. So we don't even have to embrace it, because failure is a lesson. It's part of the system. It's part of the process. So when we define it as failure, it's very hard to embrace it, because failure is something very negative. But if we change our definition to failure, we will embrace it. We will embrace it without even knowing that we embrace it, because we don't recognize it in the first place.
Yeah, it makes sense. So it's like how we look at it is so important. Like how we how we reframe these thoughts in our head, right? It's so important, because the way we look at it is the way that we're going to determine the actions and how we proceed, right? So it's like, okay, if we look at it as, oh, this is just a failure and that's that, or we can look at it as like, hey, this is something that is just another stepping stone, right? It's another learning process. Okay, what can I do differently? How can I adjust the approach? It's all these things that make it almost an enjoyable process, right? It's like,
Yeah.
because a lot of times, like, it can be disappointing sometimes. I get it's hard in the moment, but it's like, if you overcome these things on each other side, we start to see that it was kind of necessary, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, failure, like we're talking quotes on quotes, failures is always a stepstone to success. Have you ever seen any successful person that never fails? You can't find it. Most of
No.
successful people, if you interview them, they went through a lot of quote unquote failures. And those are the steps. Because easy life, it does not lead to success. Easy life with
Right.
no failures, it does not lead to success. So actually, failure is a positive thing. If you never fail in your life, that means you never did anything that's worth doing.
Yeah, that's a common thread you'll see. Like all these successful individuals are going to show you how they failed, right, and show you how they overcame it. It's like I haven't really seen it the other way ever, right? It's always a process, and it's always a lot of challenges you have to overcome. I feel like these challenges forge your character in order to live the life you're meant to lead, right? So it's like you start to embrace these things, and success is something that you attract by the person that you become, right? So it's like your inner world creates your outer world, right? It's like you start to become these things, and the process is what's the most important thing. You start to enjoy the journey and realize that all you have is right now. It's not always about the goal, but it's how you get there too.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just how you get there is the most important thing. Like we said, you gotta be a person of system, not goals. You always believe on the system, and once 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 you develop that system, also it becomes automatic for you. The little things you do every day is that what's contribute to your success. Just the little thing you do every day, and you repeat it every day. That's what contributes to success, and that's why we never think about goals, because goals is a limiting aspect in life. Like when you got a goal, so once you get to that goal, you think to yourself, now what? And then you're not doing anything.
Right. How did you define that in our lives? Like, how do we start to develop these processes and systems so we can actually have like a success process too?
Yes. Yes, definitely.
If people wanted to kind of start that, like, what would you recommend?
Excuse me?
If people wanted to start that in their own lives, like, how would they begin that process?
The process of,
Developing systems in their own lives.
oh, yeah. To develop a system, uh, you got to develop habits. And like, let's say, just an example, you want to be in good shape. So if you want to be in good shape, first of all, you got to have a system. Like you wake up in the morning, let's say, uh, first thing, let's say you have your shoes close to you when you wake up in the morning, and you do that like every day. So it's automatic, because when you make something automatic, you don't exert energy. You don't spend energy thinking about how and when, and that you wake up and you do it, and you go work out a specific time, and you develop an automatic system. That's just for like workouts type of thing. But if let's say about writing a book, I'm gonna give another example about writing a book. Um, Writing a book, before when you think about it, it's a very difficult project, because you gotta sit there and write hundreds of pages. But if you develop a habit of writing like 5 pages a day, and then it becomes automatic at certain time, let's say 7 p.m., you go to your desk and you sit there and you write 5, and you do it on a daily basis, it becomes an automatic system. By the time you're done, you wrote a 200-page book, 300-page book, but you don't feel it, because it becomes automatic to you. So most of our challenges comes from the thoughts about how we're gonna do things. And when you think about a 300-page book, that thought immobilize you and you never start. So to develop a system, just split your projects into little actions every day, and make it a system, an automatic action that you do every day at a certain time. You develop a habit, and you don't and you don't even feel that's a challenge. It's become enjoyable, and something would be missing of your day if you don't do it because it becomes a habit.
That makes sense. So focusing on the small wins is key, right? Just being able to build that momentum on a day-to-day basis. It doesn't have to be this huge thing, but as long as we take that necessary action, we're going to start to build those habits and systems, right? And instead of doing this thing that is overwhelming in the beginning, you just start to break it down. Like, what can we do on a day-to-day basis? And you start to develop these success habits. And by the time you reach your goal, you're like, oh, this is just something that you do. It's like, it's just an easy thing, right? Because you're doing it on a day-to-day basis, and it's something that you can manage.
Definitely, and that keeps the momentum going. And you said something very important about celebrating the small wins, because when you celebrate those small wins, that keeps your momentum, keeps you energetic, and you keep going. Because a small win is a win, and if you don't celebrate it, you lose that momentum. So
Yeah.
I thought that was a very important point.
Yeah, celebration is key, right? I mean, it just can be a little thing. Just like feel it, right? Feel it, feel the success, feel it, and know that you're making progress, right? And then also give yourself grace if you fail. Like give yourself, compassion. All these things. It's like it's how you grow in the process, right? And as we start to develop that self awareness, we can actually proceed through that in a much more graceful way too. Like we actually start to enjoy it because now we're becoming someone in that process, and that starts
Yes.
with mindfulness too.
Yes, yes. It's all about habits, and your daily agenda decides whether you succeed or you fail. What you do in your daily, what's your daily agenda? Are you spending your time on activities that actually contribute to your goals or to your system, to whatever you want to do, or you just doing little things here and there that don't have no common direction, and you're just doing things that are not focused, that are not contributing to what you want to do in the long term.
Yeah, mindfulness is key, right? Because then, as you just talked about, we can be distracted by the little things, and we can have all our energy being zapped in a certain way, so we're not even be aware of, right? So having that self awareness is very important, so we can actually focus our energy where it needs to be.
Especially nowadays with social media, with the internet, it's very easy to drift through your day without, 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 without doing anything, that contribute to your goal. Because let's say you start working on your project, like your podcast, preparing for your podcast, and then you check your Instagram or something, and you end up watching some games or whatever, and then by the end of the day, you lost your direction. So there are too many shining things nowadays, especially on that cell phone. Once you got that cell phone in your hands, it's it it's a it's a good tool. You can learn from it, read something, some articles, watch some self-development video that actually contribute to your growth as a human, because it's about how we become, not what we achieve. It's how you become. And how you become is by exposing yourself to whatever you want to become, like watching personalities that you look up to and you want to be like. But that's the trick. You use the whatever we got nowadays, social media and Spotify, YouTube, and all that, to sharpen your skills and to to stay in touch with whatever you want to be. Like you want to be a great podcaster, watch great podcasters. You want to be a great author, watch great authors. So going back to your point, there are too many distractions. So the main thing is to stay focused on whatever contributes to the big picture. That's
Yeah.
what.
I like how you mentioned that because you have to immerse yourself in the thing that you want. Immersion is key, right? Because now your mind is filled with things that you actually want, and that's all you know. It's like there's a process called instinctive elaboration, which is basically like you have to pose your mind a question, but it'll actually go to work on giving yourself an answer, right? So if we're kind of exposed to things that we don't want, in a sense, it's going to be much easier to be distracted and all these things, right? But if we actually stay focused on our target and the mission, it makes it much more easier to stay within the flow of things, right? And again, it's not about being perfect, but what can we do to stay on track and what we're exposing ourselves to on a day-to-day basis is very important.
Why? To stay on track, like every night, before you sleep, you just do like kind of an inventory of your activities and separate them. Is this action contribute to my goal and what I want to be, or my process, my system, or just a waste of time, a distraction? And you start cutting down on the actions that never contribute to whatever you want to be. And if you don't do that, if you don't track it, I'm not going to say daily, it might be, but daily is better because that's how you develop a habit. If you do it weekly, it's very hard to develop a habit.
Yeah.
But daily, but it's not, I'm not talking about, it's just like 5 minutes. Just look, and that's how you keep track of that. But if not, you drift through your days and you don't even know if you are distracted or not. How you know it? You gotta put it on paper, because when you put it on paper, you get more clarity about your life, what you're doing, or just trying to think about it in your head and be like, okay, tomorrow I'm gonna stop going to Facebook, whatever. You don't get clarity, and it don't get emphasized in your subconscious. When you write something, it gets emphasized, it gets imprinted in your subconscious. That's how we change.
I love it, man. Yeah, self-assessment is so important, right? Because a lot of us, we're not really aware of our day-to-day actions and what is taking place. So I think it's important to give ourselves a space to think and kind of elaborate. Like, what are we thinking? What are we feeling? And, do some self-assessment, like what is working, what isn't, all these things. And it doesn't have to be a lot, maybe just a few minutes at certain times, or maybe do a whole process in the evening. And just being able to do that self-reflection is going to make it much easier to grow and make it much more fast, I find, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Journaling is very important. Do you journal?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when you journal, it gives you clarity. It's always like, you write something up on paper, like journaling. It's like two persons. It's like somebody is talking to you through that paper, even if it's the same person. But when you write something down, that whatever that journal is, your guide. It's your, it's your guide. It's the radar that keep you going on the right direction that you want to.
Yeah, accountability, right?
Yes. Very
Okay,
important.
that's another topic too. Is accountability, is being able to, stay on course and all these things. Like, can be self accountability, all these things. Just being able to hold yourself accountable to things that you say you're gonna do, like live in alignment with what you want and say and focus and with integrity too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What I find is being purpose oriented is very important, right? Because going back to distraction, it's like if you know what you want on a day-to-day basis and you're focused on that and you actually have a strong why, it's much harder to be distracted, much harder to pull yourself away from things. Even if you are, it's not going to last as long, right? I think that's the goal too. I don't know if it's about being perfect in that, but I think that it's about kind of going back to resilience, about maybe not being distracted as much. And if you do for one way, shape, or form, not as long either, right? So you actually have a lot more energy to do things you want in life.
Yeah, we're human beings. We're gonna be distracted. We're not gonna be perfect, but keeping track of it and putting it on paper, it minimizes the amount of time you spend wasting your time and getting distracted, and that's how we keep our distraction in check.
Yeah, that's a good point. When it comes to purpose, like, is that something that you think about a lot? Like, what is the importance of that in our lives? Like having something that we do things for, right? Something that we just kind of know why we're here in a sense, and we're on target. So we're not being filled with the constant distractions of the world, right? Whatever it is, it's like, do you think about that a lot too?
Yes, I do, and let's say my experience with my son with autism, it was really important to bringing me back to the right direction, because before that I was going through some distractions in life. I was drinking a lot, just partying, just drifting through life. And then when I got my son with autism, that gives me a purpose. because his vulnerability and his need for a parent that actually have a direction in life is very important. And so when he gave me that purpose, that's when my life starts aligning with the right direction. So having a purpose that's bigger than you is instrumental to us to keep going, to keep that energy, and to be resilient. Like to your point a while ago about resilience. So resilience does not come by itself. You gotta have some experience in life, some purpose that you're laser focused on, that will feed your resiliency and keep you going. But without a purpose, you don't really have that drive to go through and finish and go to the finish line.
Yeah, having that purpose that, as you mentioned, something bigger than you, right? So you actually have a reason to do things. It's like I feel like it's about growth and service. Like the more we grow, the more we can give as well. So like becoming the greatest version of you every single day, and then being of service in any way that you be called to is very important, right? And it kind of it's a much more fulfilling way of being too.
Yes, yes, because it's human nature. We gotta have something to look for something forward to look for. If we have no purpose, if you got no purpose, you end up drifting through life, and then by the time you wake up, it's too late. So we always gotta keep that purpose and use it as fuel to our drive to how we handle everything in our life, everything from how we how we approach our goal or process achievement, and using that purpose as something that whenever you feel distracted, you think about that purpose, and failure will not be a thing that's bug you down. It will be actually a fuel for you to just keep going, because the strength of your purpose will help you overcome any hurdle or challenge that without a purpose will make you immobilized.
That's a great point too. Like, how do we start to find that in our lives? Because it goes hand in hand with resilience and being able to go through that process, right? It's like you have a strong conviction within yourself that you know you can handle these things, right? It's like, and not only do you know it, it's like you have to in a sense, right? Because the world needs you, right?
Yeah.
If people are struggling with that, like, what would you say some steps are in order to kind of be in touch with their purpose?
To stay in touch with your purpose. To
Yeah.
stay in touch with your purpose is when you wake up in the morning, always remember that purpose. Like, I don't know what you think about affirmations, but affirmations, a lot of people think they're not useful, they're just like empty words. But affirmations, they emphasize your purpose in your subconscious. So, because we all know that subconscious is what give us direction in life, because everything we do it's driven by the subconscious mind. So always remember the cause, the purpose. You're doing this. And let's say you get tired at work, whatever, but you're working that hard for a purpose. Let's say to provide for your family, or to provide therapy for your disabled kid. So once you remember that purpose, you keep going, and that's one of the steps. Affirmation, always affirmed in the morning, like this is why I'm doing this, because the way that little voice in our head is very important. Is whatever you whatever you say or your voice tell you, just make sure that whatever that voice in the back, that voice in our head is always aligned with the purpose, and that keeps you focused on your purpose. So it's affirmation and the voice in your head. It's very important.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds like powerful language is key, right? It's
Yeah.
kind of talking about it a lot throughout it, but it's like the words that we say are important, right? And how we speak to ourselves. And, whether we're living in a victim language or a victor language, like we need to distinguish between that. Like we need to start to have the self awareness of the things that we're saying, not just externally, but internally.
Internally,
Right.
like, yeah, don't like
Yeah.
look at it like you're a victim. Like if you have a lot of problems, your life is not going to the right direction, and that voice of your in your head will tell you like life, this life is difficult. I don't know why this happened to me. Why me? This all this stuff that will drive you through a loop of just problems because you think about yourself as a victim and you never affirm in the morning, because affirmation, that's the role of affirmation, because it wipes out that victim mentality talk that goes on in your head. And when you stop affirming, it's easy to drift through to that victim thinking. So that's what I think. The affirmation is very important into reprogramming your subconscious from a victim mentality way of thinking into a capable way of thinking.
I like that. You're affirming the thing that you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, because this internal language, what I find helps with that is mindfulness too. Just being able to, again, going back to processing, like processing what's going on in your head. Because if we were more relaxed and we had like more observation within our lives, it's a lot easier to, I find, have clarity and, not have this victim language. Right? It's a lot easier to just kind of be in alignment with what you want, right? Because when you're relaxed and you're kind of like, you're just kind of in this open state, it's so much easier to stay in alignment with it as a victor language, right? Because you feel good. And then you start to do better too.
Well, when you do that, your brain become like a radar looking for positive things in life. Attract the positive things in life, because once you have that negative language in your head with your affirmations or lack of affirmations, and the little voice in your head telling you, oh, today is a bad day, whatever, like you get a flat tire and you start talking about having a bad day. Then after that flat tire, you get something else. I said, I knew it's going to be a bad day. So what happened, your brain get programmed into looking for all the negative things when you start talking to yourself that way.
Yeah, you start to become a magnet for things that you want, right? As you just mentioned, it's like, because all these things are the work in synergy, right? You have the questions, you have the inner dialogue, you have the external actions, they all work together, right?
Yeah.
And that literally starts to create a vibration, in a sense, to use that term. It's like then you start to kind of be more in alignment with the thing that you want, thing that you want to become too. It's like all these things that work together. And so just being able to calibrate when it's necessary to reach your goals and your dreams is so important.
Yes, definitely. That's how. I mean, we're human beings. I mean, the negative things is easy to emphasize in your subconscious. For some reason, the negative things are always chasing our subconscious mind. Like if you just stop affirming, stop talking to yourself in a positive way, it's quick and like it just stays there. So when you don't combat that with positive affirmation and changing the way you talk to yourself, you quickly drift into the negative path. It's just like how it works. It's just like negativity is let me like Facebook. A negative posts get more likes, more followers than a positive things. It's just like human beings are programmed to be attracted to the negativity think. I don't know why it is. Maybe because it's easier, and the brain always leans to the easier things. It don't take much to just be negative and blame all your problems on somebody else. But it takes a lot of work, a lot of focus to actually be positive and don't blame anybody but yourself about whatever happens in your life.
Yeah, it becomes easier over time too.
Yes.
Yeah, and once you start to get out of alignment, you start to become better over time at calibrating your energy in a sense, to calibrate it to your dreams and what matters in your life. It's like you start to gain this awareness and what is necessary and what is needed to be adjusted and all these things as you move along. And it's like you can gain strength over time and resilience.
Yes. Yes,
Yep.
definitely.
All right, Eunice, this has been awesome, man. I really appreciate you today for coming on the show, sharing your story with us, all your insights on resilience, and all these personal development concepts that we start to, use in our own lives. Right? It's about what is necessary in the moment. What do we need? Who do we need to become? And you start to enjoy the process and become a light and model for what is possible. So thank you so much for coming on, and it's been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Anthony, for inviting me. I appreciate it, and I hope we see you again in more episodes in the future.
Yeah. So if we can get connected with you and your work, where can we go for that?
Oh, excuse me, I missed that. What was that?
If we want to get connected with you and all your work, where can we go for that?
Yes, you can go to Amazon and just type my name, Youness El Fehdi, and I will send you my website link, and I'm also on Instagram as the El Fehdi author, El Fehdi author. I'm gonna send you all this stuff later, and if you can put them in there, and I'm on LinkedIn as Youness El Fehdi. And the one that I'm the most active on is YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel called The YE Show, DYE Show. I talk about this like something similar to what we've just been talking about. And yeah, that's how you get a hold of me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Thank you, Anthony. Take care.